helping you with Acorn and RISC OS computing.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Martin Eastwood, and I've been doing some theming for RISC OS now for the past year and a half. I would also just add my background is in graphic design. So I work for a company that's just about over 100 years old. They do quite complicated things in die stamping and lithographic printing. They used Acorn machines back in the early 90s and the 2000s, phasing out the very last Acorn machine of January this year. So we've been using them quite recently. The company does various different artwork for prestigious professional companies, including the royal family. So we do things like compliment slips, business cards, all those kind of things. So it's quite nice. I also do repair work for retro machines, including Acorn, RISC PCs, A7000s. I do tinker with retro Macintosh machines as well. I've got an old SE30 from 1987, which is my pride and joy, which is on my shelf up there, which you can't see. But anyway, let's see if we can get this thing to work. Maybe not. There we go. So my first computer was an A3010. I wasn't particularly interested in computers when I was a teenager, so I didn't really get into any of the BBC stuff. I didn't really see much of an interest in that, but the A3010 really caught my attention because it was colourful, and we had plenty of those in secondary school, and I started to learn a bit more about the user interface and how to play around with graphics. And I think Paint was really the first application that I used to get into graphical work, and I could sit there for hours just playing with Paint, in between the odd reboot when Paint would crash unexpectedly, but I'm sure everybody's experienced that. Later moved on to the A4000, which is one of my other good machines, which I've still got. And later on, once I finished college, I bought myself a RISC PC Kinetic, which was quite expensive at the time, and I've still got it today. So my main operating systems that I use currently at the moment is Mac OS. RISC OS Select is my main source of RISC OS at the moment for artwork, and RISC OS 5. I've just recently moved onto a Windows platform, courtesy of RComp. They supplied me with a really nice RISC Cube system, which is fabulous. So I do a lot of my graphic work based on a Windows or a Mac system, because the RISC OS system isn't particularly great at doing high definition graphics. And at the moment, the aim is, with the theming for RISC OS, to try and modernize it slightly, is to do high-end, high DPI based graphics, similar to the themes that we've currently got, but to try to make them more modernized, more eye-catching to everybody. Those of you that might know me, I attended the RISC OS North show this year, so some of you may have seen some of my themes already that I demoed on the stand. And let's just have a look. So you should be able to see a live view now of my frosted desktop. Yeah? Yep. Everybody see that? Great. Yep. So as you can see with Frosted, which was my first attempt at theming for the operating system, and Frosted has been kind of refined and changed quite a bit since I first brought it out. The general idea was to combine the RISC OS 3.7 elements and the RISC OS 4 elements and sort of bring them together, but modernize them and make them look a bit more playful. There's a lot of textures involved in some of the icons, as you can see with the directories. There's gradients. We've also managed to add more translucency to the icon bar, and the textures in the background are also alpha channel as well, which means that they're a lot smoother, so they're not as rough around the edges. As you can see, some of the icons here these are PNGs, which has got a bit of a nod to the past, which has got an A310, I think, in the background of that image. And then you can see the sprite image as well, which has got the little house and the sun from one of the other themes previous. You can see the zip folders as well have also had a bit of an upgrade. And we haven't just stopped at the icons. And actually show you some of the icons that have been changed. So we haven't just changed just some of the elements of the operating system. We've also given applications new icons as well. Things like Pipe Dream's been updated. We've got a new icon for Photodesk. Some of you may have noticed there that the original Newshound icon has resurfaced, but has just been updated. It looks a little bit better. The original yellow dog, we've stuck back on there. Impression style, it's got a new icon. All the different file types have got various different icons that have been updated. And then you can see as well in the system settings, we followed basically like the select theme for plugins, which has got the jigsaw puzzle behind it, which I think makes it a little bit more distinguishable that it is actually a configurable item and not an application. With this particular system, it is using a custom ROM, so we have got other elements of the system that have been changed. So, for example, if you copy a folder from, it will update with the filer box, and you can see there's a little hint of the frosted feature there on the copy dialog. Also, certain elements of the task manager has been updated as well to match the color scheme of the frosted design. So that is frosted. Any questions on this particular theme before we move on to the next bit? No?
Nope.
Okay.
Martin,
You may also,
Martin,
yes.
are you going
Andrew.
Hiya. Are you going to be taking us through the actual process that you do to create some of these icons, or is that later in the talk, or is?
Oh, that's coming.
That's coming. Okay.
That's coming. Yeah. I will actually. I was actually going to move on to that bit next, so yeah. I will show you.
No. It was just that's what fascinates me is how you do things. But go on in your own time.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So I'll probably make this bit bigger so that people can see it, because obviously we're having issues with. So this application is called Infinity, and this is my main graphics application, and this is one of the new RISC OS startup banners that I use. This is the dark mode startup banner. And as you can see on the right hand side, this is in SVG format. So it's a raw graphic format that I can make as big or as small as I want without having to change the quality of the image. And that's really important when you're creating a graphic such as an icon, because what you want to try and maintain is as much quality as possible when you're reducing the size down to a very tiny 35-point icon that has to sit on a RISC OS desktop. And obviously we are quite restricted with the WIMP in the sense that detail is not one of its best friends, unfortunately. So the amount of detail that we can put into an icon, the better it will look in a sprite. So on the right hand side, you can see everything is layered. This particular image has 64 layers. which seems quite excessive. But if I want to change a single component of that, I can just select that layer, change the color, change the shape. And if I don't particularly like it, I can just roll back to the next image. Once this image is then created how I want it, it's then resized down into a PNG format to about 300 dpi. And then that is transferred over to an application in RISC OS called Photodesk, which is the only application that I can actually use. I have tried Artworks, I don't like it. Sorry to anybody that likes Artworks. I cannot, there's something about it I just can't manage with it. So everything gets transferred into Photodesk, which is where all the magic happens. Photodesk then transfers the PNG into the sprite format at the correct DPI, whether you're using a 180 DPI icon, a 90 DPI icon, or a 45. It will set it and retain the detail that you've put in to your PNG. Let me go back to this one. Let's see if I can show you. So this is a PNG format loaded into Photodesk. And as you can see, it's retained some of the transparency and the detail. I mean, this is quite a basic file. We know it's a font file, but this is how it arrives in Photodesk. And we basically want to do, and this is why we squashed one of these bugs recently, Andrew, because I like to change the width, the height, and the DPI at the same time, instead of having to go in and do it twice. So that's a new bug that's been fixed. So for the frosted icon set, they are at 35 pixels by 90. And then, as you can see, when that's reduced down, that will then tell you roughly what the size of the icon is. The only thing that I've noticed with Photodesk is it doesn't actually, how it appears on the screen right now is not actually how it will appear in a sprite. So if we save this as a sprite, it will automatically give it the correct file type. File name, because we've saved it previously as a PNG. I'll just drag that to the desktop. And then when we open it, you can see that it sits there as a detailed icon with its transparency. And then that is just basically reduced down further. We can, I forgot to do this, so just bear with me a second. We need to change the mode to index. We analyze the palette, we convert it down. This reduces the file size of the sprite because we only want to use the colors that are currently being used within the file. So the icon was created with 16 million colors, but we don't need a whole 16 million color palette for just that icon, which is going to take up loads of space on your disk. And we're trying to, the problem is with RISC OS is that when you're trying to save an icon into ROM, the file of that sprite needs to be as small as possible. So what we do is we reduce the color sprite down. And then when we open it up, if we show the colors, you can see that it's reduced that palette down to 255 colors. And these are all the colors that that particular sprite uses. So it's very clever. It's very, very good. So it's quite a long process. We go from creating an icon in raw format in SVG. It then gets converted to PNG to be transferred over to Photodesk, and then it's reduced further down to then create the final sprite. Does that answer your question, Andrew?
Super, thank you.
You probably noticed as well that I dropped that on the pinboard. I always chuck icons on the pinboard. I don't always save them in a folder. What I tend to do is I will, when I'm doing work, I'll chuck them on the pinboard, and then I'll drag them off and put them in a folder when I'm done. because otherwise I'll forget that I've put it in a folder and I'll try and find it later and I can't find it. So they sit on the pinboard until I know where to file it.
That's pretty much exactly why we did that feature.
Yeah. You probably noticed with this version of pinboard that I've got for Frosted is I've got slightly high definition pins to the one that people are used to. And I'm going to talk about the changes coming up soon with 532 because we're working with RULE at the moment to change some of the visual WIMP flags to make customizing theming a little bit more easy, especially for things like dark mode. And that is now what I'm going to show you next. Hopefully, if everything goes right. Maybe. There we go. You just have to bear with me a second. I need to find out where I am. Has that not appeared on my screen? It's disappeared. Oh, there we go. You can tell I'm new at this, can't you? Right, let me just, can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the current dark mode as it stands. Now, I'm using a new version of the WIMP. This is WIMP version 5.89. And the reason why I haven't released dark mode out to the masses yet is because RULE are currently making changes to the window manager that is going to make it a lot more easier to switch between light and dark mode. The current WIMP doesn't recognize how to switch between the two. So the only way that you can create a dark mode in the current RISC OS is to invert the palette, which is not ideal because the colors are the wrong way. So at the moment, what they're doing is they're having to separate certain elements of the window manager. For instance, the title text in the window furniture has to be on a separate visual flag now. The icon text is another one that has to be separated. I can probably show you on keyboard. Right, yeah, there we go. So all the new current, you probably won't be able to see that, but I'm just doing it for my reference. So basically we're trying to implement more features that we had in Select that made RISC OS more customizable. So for instance, you can change the outline of the window border. You can change the button colors, you can change the shadows, you can change the highlight colors. You can now change the icon text. If you want the text on the icons pink, you can have them pink. There's loads of different things now that you can do, and obviously, hopefully, this will be released under 532. The only thing that dark mode doesn't know how to do yet is individual application management. So, for example, the beauty of dark mode in other operating systems like macOS or Windows is that when you launch an application, like say a text editor, you will automatically get a dark background and white text on a text editor. Currently with RISC OS, it doesn't do this. You get the opposite, which is kind of defeating the object. So the UI elements of RISC OS and everything else that runs underneath it can handle dark mode pretty well. It's doing it. All the window furniture, the icons and everything are doing it at the moment. But fundamentally, the only issue that we're going to have right now are things like applications. I mean, Messenger is quite customizable. So if you want to have a dark message background, you can change that in the settings. So there are apps out there where you can change it. to suit your theme. But some of the hardwired ones, like Edit, for instance, is not going to be able to do it. I think Paint is another one, but I'm not sure how Paint would work. I think if you're an artist, you probably want a white canvas, to be fair. So, do we have any questions on the dark mode at all? Any interests in it?
Just a suggestion.
One message on the chat list.
Oh, sorry, I'm not even seeing the chat. Can you theme set edit options to give dark mode in edit? Oh, that's you.
That's me, yeah. It was just, you were talking, and on my, in Desk Edit, which is based on Edit, you can set Desk Edit dollar options and change the colors. So I use yellow on blue, for example.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that comes from Edit dollar options, because Desk Edit is basically a clone of Edit with a few extra options.
Okay.
So I think there's an Edit dollar option system variable that can be used to set a bunch of sort of things like the colors and stuff like that. I don't know the syntax off the top of my head, but I must have investigated at some point to get Blue Desk Edit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously feeding stuff back to Rob Sproston, but I don't really know what their full plan is for this, because obviously this is kind of in its infancy at the moment. They've obviously been working on this quite a lot, and obviously they're relying on people that have got access to the dark mode beta to feed back what they want to see with the new window manager. So it's the main issue that stands out to me, as like I said, is applications. There are going to be some applications where we don't have source code, which we're not going to be able to embed a dark mode feature. So we're going to have to try and find a way for the window manager to be able to do that automatically with a lot of the apps. So I just don't know how they're going to sort that out. So dark mode is kind of semi-complete, but it's never going to be perfect. You know, it's functioning, but I don't think I think we're a long way off it being perfect. Maybe a good year and a half before they're going to get it completely polished. But we can but try. We can get something out there when 5.3.2 is released to say, look, you can have a dark themed desktop, but just as a FYI, you may not have all your apps compatible with dark mode. It may be something that will, come later on down the road. Let's have a look at the chat.
Just a personal thing. I mean, partly because of my compromised eyesight, but mostly probably subjectively, I find dark themes utterly depressing. I think they're horrible. I don't understand why anyone would like them, but they do.
So the dark mode was kind of introduced into the mainstream mainly for programmers, because there's a lot of people with get eye strain and they sit long hours and they're coding and they would prefer to work on a darker environment. So I can understand why coders use it, but I think because I can't remember who it was that sort of threw it out there. I think Apple kind of played around with it initially with High Sierra a long time ago, and it gained quite a lot of attention. And so now everybody's doing it. And I think there are a lot of people that do prefer it purely, especially if you've got eyesight issues and you don't want to be staring at a bright white display all day.
Yeah.
It does actually make it easier for people to use their computers for longer.
I can see the logic in that. I mean, it works the other way for me, but I mean, that everyone's different,
Yeah, I mean, I switch between the two because I can't personally sit and look at a dark mode all day. It like you, it gets a bit depressing. But,
it's a bit kinder in the evenings, though, if you're working late.
Yeah.
But I had somebody suggest to me, well, can you make all the grey stuff like a blue? And I was like, well, yeah, sure. You can have all this whatever colour you want, as long as the tiles. Let me just. No, not that one. I keep looking at the wrong screen. It's the problem with having too many monitors.
I mean, I use the Windows cousin of artworks called Zara. I can't remember what they call it now. Something like Photo and something editor. And at one point, that was switched to dark mode, and you can't change it. And I hate using it now.
So, in the theme set, you have a set of tiles. Now, I only have 4 in here because you can have generally more. It just depends on. I don't understand why themes have I16, I8, I4, because if you reduce the resolution down to, say, 256 colors, if you have a really good alpha channel sprite that will support 256 colors, you only need the one tile. My themes look great at any color resolution, so there's no need to have loads of different tiles in there. You just need one for each one for the menu, one for the icon bar, and one for the the other aesthetics. So these are the 4 that I use to create the dark mode theme. But say if you wanted a blue, you wanted it blue, or you wanted it red, or any color you wanted, you just literally change the tile, and then everything else around it, including the icon bar, would then become that color. The only other thing that you would have to change, of course, is the tool sprites. Now, I've just been trying to get my head around this because this is a really weird system. I've never, ever designed tool sprites like this before. And it has 2 tables in them, which you have to then manipulate to change the colors of the... Andrew, you'll have to explain this one to me because I found this really bizarre.
Uh-oh.
This defies all logic to me. So I'm used to doing toolbars where you have one set for your active display, your active windows, and then you have a second set for inactive. But then this one, you have a set of 2 tables, one for your inactive and one for your active. And then you have to manipulate these tiny little squares. So at the moment, you can see this title bar at the top is those blue colors. So for instance, if I want to change that red, I'm gonna do this now and see if I can change these. That doesn't look right. Yeah. Okay. So if I save that and reload, you can now see that those tool sprites have now gone red. Just that tiny little table has made the active title bar the red color. That's how simple. So whoever created that setup, I can't remember who designed it that way, but it took me about 3 weeks to get to grips with how to do a tool sprite that way because I'm not used to doing it. So
I think
it's actually.
I think that's a RISC OS 5ism because I don't remember it being like that on when people were designing themes back in the.
Exactly. That's what threw me.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre because you have all this.
The person to ask is probably Jerf because he would have done a lot of work on that kind of area when he was doing Select, and it would be interesting to see if Select had got whether that's an area where Select and RISC OS 5 diverged, or whether there's some common DNA or not. I don't know. Like you, it feels weird to me. Shall we put it that way? So
yeah, it does. So it's the RISC OS 5 stuff that I've had to get my head round. I just want to quickly answer a question that Gavin put in the chat about desktop icons are normally 34 by 34. They are normally, but I've just made them slightly an edge bigger, only because I found at 34 that the quality level drops quite significantly at that size. So I'm not sure why it does that, but 35 seems to work pretty well. I think with a desktop icon, you can go to a maximum of 36 before the text starts to take over. And And obviously, if you want to go any bigger than that, then you have to go to 180 DPI, and then you go up in size. So if you're 180 DPI, then you go from 35 to 70. Yes, so it goes up in size. But I haven't actually tested that. I don't actually know if 180 DPI sprites would actually do that with RISC OS 5. I know it does in Select. I'm not sure if RISC OS 5 does. So that's something that I need to test. But I'm currently doing 180 DPI sprites for people that like big icons on their desktop.
You can test that by going, if you go to the display manager and change EX, at the moment it's EX1, EY1. Probably won't say it, but if you do EX0, EY0, so EX0, EY0, that's now running with 180 DPI stuff. So you can see the text on the bar looks much smoother. But you may need to load your theme again after doing that change to make it load the Sprites 11 version with the 180 DPI. But that's what that is, basically.
Interesting.
That's what we use in big mode in the Pinebook, for example.
To be fair, though, I mean, even these icons at 90 DPI are not too bad.
Oh, no. Good artwork is good artwork at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, they are... this is one of the things that really got me going, is this kind of thing. So for the older icons, you can see, where alpha channeling wasn't introduced. And this goes for a lot of icons, is that there's this white fuzzy border around the icons, which doesn't look very nice on a dark background. So yeah. Okay. Now I'll have to fiddle with that later to find out how to get rid of that. So that's dark mode, and then we are. So I just wanted to have a look at, because we've gone off script a little bit.
Sorry.
Okay, so why does theming matter? So first impressions, better usability, modern expectations, and personalization. So those are the things really that kind of got me into this, is that I think everybody wants to personalize their desktop. Everybody wants it to be different. And the beauty of RISC OS is that we can absolutely do that. It was created to be hacked, is what I like to say. So the early history of theme actually started all the way back to Arthur, with just with the standard 16 palette, which obviously we could manipulate and change every single aspect of the desktop and change the color if we wanted to. It was quite playful. I personally wasn't a huge fan of Arthur. I'm sure there's some diehard Arthur fans in here, maybe. That's used it previous, but this is just a demo of how easy it was to sort of manipulate the operating system back then, and how you could change the palette to any color that you want, which I thought was quite fun. And then obviously we moved on to RISC OS 3, which was, I can't remember what theming apps we had back then. I think we had like New Look. So this was a very, very, very basic. I think there is a section in here where it actually created a dark. There we go. So again, with RISC OS 3.11, it was the palette again was manipulated to create an inverted palette to make everything appear dark. These are actually videos, Andrew, that are running inside a PowerPoint presentation. just to answer your question. So these are pre-recorded videos. Now this is where things really got interesting. I think is when we got into 3.5 onwards, when they reinvented the WIMP, the nested WIMP, and we started to get tiled effects. And we had more theming apps available. People probably remember the old Matrix theme that we used to be able to download and put on our RISC OS 3 machines. Anybody remember those old themes? Yeah, I think I've still got a couple of those laying around somewhere, but I think this is where the theming sort of took off, was this kind of era. And then by the time we got into RISC OS Select, everything was customizable, right down to the individual button, which it was amazing to do. You didn't really need any third-party apps. You could just go into the configure and just manipulate the settings and have outrageous colors that we wanted. And I just put this on the demo because obviously I wanted to demonstrate how customizable the RISC OS operating system has been over the last 30 years. It's I don't know how long that video is. So we've done the frosted theme. Oh, pause it here. Now, somebody might be questioning, did I follow the style guide? And the answer is, well, to some degree. I'm not a massive fan of the style guide, and I'll tell you for why. I think the style guide is a little bit dated, even though it's been updated for 2026. But a lot of the rules and within the style guide are, I think, for an earlier period that we need to kind of move on from, especially with RISC OS 5. So the only sort of things that I took away from the style guide was the basic icon design rules, which is application icons have to be an irregular shape and file icons need to be sort of square or with a border. And we need to avoid square apps icons, which would confuse it for being a file type. Use transparent backgrounds for apps, match style with system themes. So I basically tried to match every application that I've changed, or icon that I've changed, to match the theme in some way, so that it doesn't feel odd. And I think this is why I've even gone as far as customizing ROMs to a certain degree, because even though you change the theme on the top surface, the underneath layer is still the same. And I think unless you're going to do it all the way through, then it's not worth doing. Backwards. There is another example. So this is the, and it's gone. Where did you go? Oh, hello. So this is another example of an icon for a redesigned RISC OS 5 icon with layers on it. You can see that it's got shadows and highlights and gradients, and it's all in SVG format. There is another theme which I'm calling Modern Select, which kind of basically replaces the old Select version, but the icons have been updated. And then obviously there's the classic RISC OS 5 update. And I do have, I think, a couple of those. No. That one. That one. Bear with me. It's all going horribly wrong.
Ooh.
Where are we? My Zoom's vanished. Wonderful. Can people still hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Affirmative.
Yeah, my Zoom's disappeared. I don't know where it's gone. Anyway, you can still hear me. Anyway, so can you see what's on the screen right now?
Yeah, we can see a RISC PC 700 desktop.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's obviously an emulator. So this is the theme for the updated RISC OS 5 Classic icons. So all of these have been updated. You can see there's no white outline on them, even on the text. You probably noticed that the translucency on the icon bar is working quite nicely. We did have a slight update to Pinboard 2, which we are currently ironing out a couple of bugs on. Andrew, I'm not sure if you got that.
Yeah, I mean, there's back and forth between Andy, yourself, and Paolo, I think, at the moment.
Yes.
On sorting out pinboard related themey stuff so that everybody gets what they want in the next version of pinboard. It's the general idea.
Yeah, so for me at the moment it's working fine on light theme stuff. The dark mode stuff, it's not quite there, but I think until they've finished with the 589 stuff, the WIMP, I don't think it's worth because it's changing all the time. I think they've added another two new WIMP flags since I last emailed Andy, so he's going to have to keep an eye on the source tree, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just basically demonstrating some of the newer icons. So for the classic RISC OS 5 theme, so there's some new folders in there. You can see the cache folder, the fonts folder, the print devs, shared libs, system folder, the application icon. The folder icons have been updated. Text files, they're all new. Sprite files. I think I'm about a third way through because obviously I do not have the original artwork for the RISC OS 5 icons, so I'm having to do these all manually, which is quite time consuming. But I think once we've got a new set that is a high resolution, I think it's going to be a lot more easier for people to customize their desktops with a high resolution set. So this is the classic 5. Close that one off. I've got one more left. Let's see if my trusty Ionics are still working. And this is the Select 2 theme. Again, different folder icons, different file types. You can see how, don't think I've updated any of these yet. In case people are wondering, I do get a little bit bored. I start one project and then when I get a bit stuck halfway through, instead of taking a break, I start a new project. So I currently have 3 different themes on the go at the moment that I'm working on. Hopefully will be finished in time for the October show. And I think I'm about done. Questions?
That's all.
Well, it seems to be a lot of work that you've done there. When did you actually start? And how much time do you sort of spend a day or a week on it?
Well, because I started working from home during lockdown,
Right.
and we had a separate office block that was separate to our factory floor. And when COVID hit, and obviously we were all working from home, we found, probably like a lot of businesses, is that it was a lot easier for people to get stuff done.
No interruptions,
No interruptions from home. So what the company did is, they were only leasing this office block. They decided to hand it back and ship everybody out back to home. And that's where we've been since 2021. So I have the luxury of being at home in between emails and phone calls, which I have an office phone in my house. So I've got a direct line to the office from here. So in between work, I just sit here at my desk and design a few icons while I'm at it. So I have lots of time. I suppose the other thing as well is that I've had a couple of people say to me, well, I'm doing this for RISC OS. Can you do me an icon? I'm like, yeah, sure. Send me an idea and I'll do you an icon.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
Because I think if we try and update the whole thing and try and unify the system with high graphical icons, I think it's going to be much more appealing to the younger generation.
Yeah, it's sort of like the expected norm. I mean, I've been using RISC OS since 2, so I'm used to blocky, crunchy stuff, The new stuff does look better, but obviously there is a lot of work to get it all into that sort of style. Yeah.
And what's really interesting as well is that I think when I started this a year ago, I think as soon as I started posting about creating a theme, it was there was other people that had jumped on as well. And so like, well, I'm now going to create a theme, and it kind of sort of lit a fire under other people to try and customize the desktop. I mean, Paolo's working on a separate application to run theming. So there was various theming protocols over the years that like the Little Moon format. There was another one that some other guy did. I can't remember his name. I don't know. He manages StrongEd.
Fred Grout.
Yes, so he did some theming work. He did some theming work a while back, and I think he created a couple of tools for people to create their own window furniture and stuff, which is on his website. So I think theming's been around for a while, but I think when RISC OS 5 sort of got to a point where it had stagnated in terms of theming, people just didn't bother because obviously Theme Defs was bought. I think Fred and Chris did the original work for Theme Defs and the original changes to the WIMP manager after 2015, I think it was. And I think that's how it all began. So my main thing is to try and keep everything through the current theming protocol, which is the rule Theme Defs. So my theme packs at the moment are single applications, so they launch from a single application. I haven't kind of packaged them yet up to be imported into Theme Defs, which is coming. But one of the challenges with the rule-based system is that when you're putting sprites into Theme Defs, you have to have an individual sprite for each part of the system. So the system folder needs its own themed icon, the boot needs its own themed icon, and it has to be in its relevant folder, which is a bit annoying, having to create all these different directories to put sprites in. I don't particularly like that format, and we are trying to maybe change that, because what I've done with my themes is I've just put everything in one file and the system will read it anyway. It doesn't matter where that file is. If it's all in one file, the system will find it and it will automatically apply that icon to that application. So I don't quite understand why it's done the way that it is, but that's maybe another rule forum rant that I need to have, but we'll probably save that for another day.
There were two other things, actually. You were saying about a background for sprites. I know a lot of things use black and white checkerboard background. Don't know if that'd be of any interest to people. for working out outlines and whatever transparency. I think they use it for that, don't they?
Yeah. So all the sprites that I use for my themes are converted into alpha channel sprites, which means that they have a very, very tiny checker black and white transparency layer behind it. There is 3 formats, I think, on RISC OS. There's 1-bit, 8-bit, and alpha channel. 8-bit is the select up, select below, I think down to about 402, and then 1-bit is 3.7 down to 3.5, and anything below that is no transparency. So it's it's a bit of a. I have converted some sprites for select in alpha channel by mistake, and then when you load select up, you just end up with a blank icon because there's a module in RISC OS called Sprite Extend that doesn't recognize that format. So and this is one of the reasons why I've stuck to RISC OS 5 currently, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done to backport a lot of the themes to RISC OS Select. Select has its own complications. So yeah. My advice to anybody that's working on themes or icons in particular, just use Paint and Photodesk to do all your converting, because I'd be completely lost without Photodesk. Photodesk has been really, really useful.
Just a general point as well, you're saying about having dark modes. For people who do have eyesight problems and primarily dyslexia, if you have a dark background with lighter letters, usually dyslexics find that less distracting to read because the brightness sort of shimmers and overloads their eyes, apparently. So a darker background with lighter text is how you should always do presentations, apparently.
It's one of those things that we kind of lack in this operating system is accessibility. And I think with the implementation of dark mode, I think that will come. We'll be able to, add like higher contrast based themes that will be easier for people that struggle to read the screen that still want to enjoy the operating system. We'll be able to give them bigger pointers, bigger icons, bigger text. So I feel like I think since the North Show, I think things have started to really accelerate around the operating system. I just feel like more people are starting to get involved and actually pull together to get it, where it should be, which is great. I mean, hallelujah.
That's graphic designers for you see.
Well, it's interesting.
Us normal people, we don't. Well, we appreciate it. We don't know how you get there at all.
Yeah. But this to me is just. I mean, I was always going to do this for myself, because I love the operating system, but obviously I don't like it in its current format. So I want to be able to view it in the way that I want to view it. And I think it was, I had one screenshot on a forum and somebody picked up on it and said, "Oh, you're gonna release that." And I wasn't planning to release it, but I thought, well, if there's a significant interest in it, then maybe I'll do some more work on it and I'll put it out there. And obviously I was quite shocked at the amount of traffic that I got at RISC OS North. It was, and actually, as at your point to dark mode wasn't as popular as the frosted. I think the frosted seemed quite popular. I think we've got a guy at the moment that's in one of our chats that's in Australia that's currently using the frosted theme on his desktop. So my theme has gone down under, which is quite
Perhaps it cools him down on a hot day.
Yeah, that's probably why.
All good stuff. Thanks.
Yes.
Martin, is it possible to actually download some of your new themes? I know you're handing them out at the North Show and that, but
I'm in the process of having my website redone because while I was on holiday, I got DDoSed.
What's that mean?
Well, I didn't get DDoS. The hosting company, there's loads of bots and God knows what else that are attacking sites at the moment. And I'm with a company called Fast Hosts, and I think there was about 300 customers that were affected, and sadly, I was one of them, where my site was attacked, and I'd spent, I think it was like 3 or 4 days trying to restore it, and because I didn't have a backup and restore cloud add-on on my hosting package, they were unable to restore my site. So I've said adios to Fast Hosts, and I'm currently waiting for Orpheus to get back to me on hosting my stuff. So until then, the website's going to be off for a little bit. But yeah, maybe I can sort something out with Andrew and get them put up on Pling Store or something. It's a possibility, maybe.
Very happy to host them on Pling Store.
Yeah, so that is another option. Once I've got them packaged and I know that they're working properly and they're not going to cause any issues, then we'll get them uploaded to Pling Store.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, thank you for that.
The other thing that I didn't show, which I'll quickly, which one is? I've got so many slides on here now, I can't remember. No, that one. Okay, why is my screen massive again? So has anybody been using the frosted version of Iris? You probably don't know that I've themed the Iris web browser as well. So there's some custom icons along the toolbar.
I've been using some of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so there is a dark mode version, but I'm having a few issues with one of. I need to talk to you, Andrew, about that. One of the.
I think there are a few bits that are baked into Iris that's where it'd be nice to be able to change things, and it's currently.
Well, I've got all this top section done. It's this bar here where the bookmarks are supposed to be. That I cannot change the colour of it.
I think that's the case because that's actually plotted from within the program rather than from the templates. So this is something where we need to ask Lee whether we can put it in messages file or something, or
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it was just a lot.
It's basically it's a graphics canvas essentially.
Yeah.
So that he can put all the thumbnails of the page artwork.
So obviously I have a custom version of Pling Store as well, custom icons on, as you can see at the top there, which matches the frosted theme. NVMe tools have got some better icons on them. I didn't like the other ones. What else have we got? We have got, where is, oh, there it is, Pac-Man. Pac-Man's also been customized. And I think those that took away a USB stick or a CD would have had the custom Pling Store and the custom Pac-Man on there, because they would have matched the theme. So they should have them. I know a lot of people that from the Rugal group are using them. But there's loads of things that I could do with this, and I could spend hours customizing and changing. I mean, like Messenger's got a new icon just because it looks nicer. There's loads of things that you could do to it, and I could spend days and days and days customizing. I could probably just spend the rest of my life just customizing it, to be fair.
How long on average does it take for you to do an individual icon?
So the Messenger one took me 45 minutes.
Oh.
So it's not, I mean, I look at the one that's already there, and then it's just, remember like you used to get those things as a kid, you used to put on a light board and you used to trace over it.
Vaguely.
Okay, right. You should know. You're about the same age as me.
Yeah, but I didn't do. I wasn't an arty person, you see. So
nobody ever had spirograph or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think was it? Was it Epidioscope? The thing you're talking about.
I wanted spirograph, but
I used to work in
Christmas
audiovisual.
never brought it for me.
I used to literally. I used to sit for hours just doing stuff like that and etch a sketch. We used to move the knobs on the bottom of the thing and move the light. Loads of that. I think that's where it all began as a child, is just fiddling around with stuff like that.
I think there's a spirograph program based on Draw somewhere. I seem to remember in the dark, distant past.
Okay, well, you need to find that for me and send me a link.
And I think I've seen, I can't remember if it was on the Spectrum emulator, an Etch-a-Sketch. So you just had the two knobs and you could rattle it and lose it all.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It is really good.
But
so does anybody actually remember the original News Hound icon?
I've probably still got it on one of my computers.
Very, very confusing, as I remember. I hadn't got a clue what it was supposed to show.
No.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things. I can't remember if I had it on the main display or not. No, probably not. Where is it? Because I've got both versions of it.
Right.
I'm going to turn this thing off because it's driving me mad.
Oh, you're talking about the accessibility thing. I've got I always forget what the one that you get with RISC OS currently is, but basically you can zoom up a little area of the screen, but it's a fixed ratio and a fixed magnification. I've got something, I think, from 1992, which does stop after, I think, 4 point something or other, but that has a variable zoom and size. So if you really wanted, you can have a quarter of the screen as a magnified bit of the thing you were trying to look for in the rest of the screen. And I don't think I've ever seen that again, as they say.
There it is. You probably can't. Yeah. You can't see it on the smaller icon, but you can see sort of there. It's got like a RISC OS cog on the side of the newspaper, but because the icon gets reduced down to such a small size,
you'll never see it. No,
you just about make it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure I had the other one on here somewhere, but I can't remember where it is. Yeah, see, that's how tiny it ends up. NetSurf was actually one of the first ones that I did. And that was one of the easiest ones to do, because what I wanted to do with NetSurf was obviously keep the identity of the browser. But I really don't like the original logo. I just think it's so boring. It needed a bit of needed partying up.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I tried to do a nice one for Iris, to make the Iris browser's icon look leap and abound over the NetSurf icon, so sort of better browser, better icon idea. So now you've made the NetSurf one look good too.
Well, no, I made the Iris one look better. I mean,
yes, you have. I'm just joking around, because I remember back in, this is sort of 3 or 4 years ago, when I was doing the first lot of artwork for it.
I mean, the whole thing with Iris is so much better. But there is I think there's 2 other themes for Iris, but I haven't. They are all included, aren't they, with the download, aren't they?
Yeah, you get Frosted, and you get your original ones, and and my crummy version, first edition version. Yes,
well, obviously we've got to decide on a default, really. What we got? Questions? We got any questions in the chat? No. It wasn't Cogs, was it? I don't quite understand. Cogs by...
I don't know Cogs by Martin Bearson. So
I think Richard... What's his name? Was it Richard Hallis that designed the original COG logo?
Yeah, Richard did the original logo, and there's a long and complicated archive article somewhere about exactly.
Oh, they're talking about the Spirograph program.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So stuff like this is pretty straightforward. Am I going to have to send you all this, Andrew?
I hadn't realised just how much you'd gone to town on everything.
I do. I literally. This is the problem. I see an app, and
I'd like to integrate some of this stuff into master versions. That
I see an app, and I think it needs to be improved or just highlighted a little bit, and then I'll just if it works for me, then ensure that other people. I think people with difficulty with their eyesight, I think they see high quality icons a lot better than fuzzy ones, because I think most people think that their eyesight is playing up more than it actually is. I think with the original NVMe Tools logo as well, I think there was some horrible white outline on it.
I struggled with that. I did my best to try and create something that it was not easy. So
no.
Any updates, much appreciated.
I will send you the artwork. It's fine. Is there any more questions? God, I'm speechless.
You should take that as everyone understood everything you were on about.
Yeah, maybe.
No, I think maybe
just keep up the good work there, Martin.
Well, I just I've not done a talk before, so I was a little bit nervous about how it was going to go. To be fair, so
you've done fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where you've seen mine, but mine can go haywire. Roof will tell you.
I just didn't want it to drag on for hours, and then people got bored. I wanted it to be sort of fairly simple to the point and quick.
There's a danger one can overthink these things, but like I said, you haven't got a hostile audience. You're among friends, so
it's always nice to know.
Yeah.
We can be hostile if you really want.
Yeah, hostage. I'll stop the recording now, I think. So then, then the libelous things can begin.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Hang on. Just where we.